right, fellas, we live. What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? This is your boy Jarrell, aka Sir Fresh, coming to you on the Deep Third podcast. Um, as always, we just want to appreciate everybody that tunes in. I can tell you over the last couple weeks, I've heard you guys loud and clear. We appreciate all the likes that have been coming in. I appreciate all the personal messages that have been coming in through Facebook. Um, I'm appreciative. This is something that we came together as friends and just wanted to um, chop it up with sports. So this is us giving it to you as raw as we have it, as real as we come. So I'll let the other two introduce themselves. They'll throw it back to me for the fresh thought. Please hit that like button. Go to the YouTube page, the Deep Third Podcast, and please like and subscribe and hit that bell notification. With that, I throw it to you, Dante.
Yo, man, it's DP. You know what it is. Appreciate you guys jumping on and watching us talk about sports, man. Deep third. Let's go.
So, as our first segment, which is the fresh thought, I get a chance just to get something off my chest. Um, and I'm gonna be 100 today and say there are women's sports that I love to watch, and there are women's sports that I don't necessarily turn the TV on. I love watching women's tennis. I love watching women's soccer. I think the skill set, the talent, it's just different. I can't watch men's soccer and I can't watch men's tennis, but I can watch females. It's just different how they play. Um, I feel like the skill level there is so different. Where when you're on the men's side, it's just about everybody's fast, just about everybody's skilled. Um, but when you see a true talent like a Serena Williams, um, like when Abby Wambach was there, it's amazing. But I've been watching the women's NCAA tournament, and man, I'm enamored with it, man. It's without the dunking and without all that, I feel like majority of the women are better shooters than the men. I mean, I'm watching these girls give it everything they got, and it's like it's like something I've never pictured in my head. I'm a basketball fan, but I can't say that I've ever sat down and just watched women's basketball. But the little nuances of the skills, setting the screens, understanding ball placement, just coming under the rim. They come at so many different angles, and to be honest, their shots are just legit. So I just want to give credit to the NCAA. I know Gino Oriema was talking about it, where they were actually on ABC for the first time in I don't know how many years. And you think about it, the men's tournament is all over everywhere. So I just want to give credit to the networks for showing their product, because for most people who have basic cable or regular cable, they may not be able to get to watch them during the year because they're not televised. So to be able to watch it tonight, I witnessed a fantastic game between South Carolina and Stanford, and it was just magical to watch. Came down to the end, and Stanford ends up winning the game. But I'm just sitting back here in awe. Watch men's, you see Duncan, you get excited, but this is a total different type of excitement. It's like the skill. Um, and Dante, I know you can appreciate this. Fave, I know you can appreciate it. I'm a technique person. When I coach high school football, I'm a technique person. I love technique. I love to see how cats really get into it. You can be a great athlete, but can you add technique with that? So these girls, hands up.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, man. They don't get a lot of press, um, because of NCAA. It's all about money, where the money's coming from, and it definitely sucks because some of them they are better shooters. But on the flip side, you almost have to be a better shooter than the men because a lot of them can't dunk. So they can't do some of the things that the guys can do. So you have to be more sound when it comes to shooting and that. And so that's the thing that kind of sucks. But I think a lot of reason too why most people would I guess prefer or why they get all the attention is because most men athletes are going to be faster, bigger, stronger, and everybody in America want to see that bigger, faster, stronger thing. Whether it's the fastest car, you know who has the biggest muscles, and whatever it may be. We are all, I think, just programmed. Whether it's a male or female in our mind that if it's bigger, it's better. If it's faster, it's better. If it's stronger, it's better. That's why you got these cats that got these big old pickup trucks because it's like, man, this thing go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, but it can also hold. It can also haul this big old boat, so I can go fishing. So that's the thing that kind of stinks. But they do need to get a little bit more press, and they do need to be out there more.
Yeah, I mean, Dante, that's it. I mean, you know, we almost get to nausea with men's sports. It's like thrown in our face. It's put on, every station, all these different stations, the NCAA tournament, on True TV and all this other stuff. And, you know, if they took the time to promote that, I think your audience would grow. Because for me, I live in a house. I have two daughters now, and I have a wife. And you know, if my daughter is watching that because that's what she is going to inspire to be, then that's going to get me to watch it even more. But when the games aren't even on a weekly basis, it's so hard. Um, to get yourself into it because you don't know names, you don't know anything. Like we're going to get into a topic here in just a second where I'm going to explain more. But that's how I feel. So, well, Fabe, looks like Dante might have some technical difficulties. So we can jump right on into topic number one. Um, well, let's switch it up. Topic number one is going to be what topic number two would have been. Um, so, in the grand scheme of what we call the athletic world, it used to be that high school athletes had to go to big schools to kind of make a name for themselves. So, the question tonight is going to be, do you feel, regardless whether it's basketball or whether it's football, that in today's current landscape of sports, that we still need to go to the big name school for the benefit of ourselves? Man, that's that's crazy because that is 100% true. You know, when we brought this topic, amongst ourselves, um, I, I I was feeling a little bit on the other end of like, yeah, like you need the big brand, you need it. And then I started doing a little bit of research, and you know, my mind changed. And it's for just about exactly every reason that you just said. When I was growing up, I needed to go to a school to create an identity. And now with the means of social media, you can create what they call an aura just around you. And, you don't have to come into Duke and be like, hey, man, listen, I'm coming in here, and then in 4 years or in 3 years, or at the end of my first year, I got to get people to know my name, because we're a social media world. Um, it's just a different beast. Um, for me, I started going back and just thinking about just guys in the pros today. Um, Lamar Jackson went to Louisville, right? Um, Carson Wentz, North Dakota State. I'll even say Aaron Rodgers. When Aaron Rodgers came out, he wasn't Aaron Rodgers that we know now. He was the number two guy that was in the pick, not the number two draft, but the number two quarterback out of that year's draft, coming out of Cal, who, it wasn't huge. But then I go to Alabama, and how many Alabama quarterbacks have came into the league and done a lot? Back in the day when University of Miami had Ken Dorsey, and all those guys, like, yeah, they were great. They had a great team, but those quarterbacks didn't come in and do very much. Joe Flacco, even though he's Fluco to me, um, he's another one. It's just crazy to think how, in my opinion, everything has transpired, where our YouTube world, our social media world, these guys have blown up. Again, I heard Zion Williamson dunking on people. I'm like, okay, you Google them, do. And next thing you know, it's like these crazy highlights, and you're like, oh, shoot, I want to watch some more of this dude. Um, that's that's just the nature of where we're at right now, in the times that we're in. And like that for basketball, they have AU and all this, where um, they start to build their brand, they start to get put on the map. Um, and weirdly enough, Duke, in all its tradition, Duke needed Zion more than Zion needed Duke. Would you consider that a fair statement? I 100% feel like Duke needed him, because think about what happened when he came in there. I think it was the second Duke UNC game that was at Duke, and they were charging these astronomical prices just to come and watch him. Think about it. This dude blew a shoe, and everybody started talking about the shoe. That's how powerful he was and what he brought to Duke. Now, I will say, in football, you alluded to it, and I'll complete the whole thought. It's even more imperative to me that you go find a place in which you feel you can be productive, because when we're looking at this thing, right? Tony Romo, a D1 AA. Terrell Owens, a D1 AA. You're getting ready to have Trey Lance, a D1 AA. There was a big tackle that ended up getting drafted, and I can't remember his name. All that being said, if you go to the right situation that allows you to show off your skill, it doesn't matter where you are. I have a guy that I coached his little brother. I got a chance to talk to him. His name is Eric Harris. He was playing for the Raiders. Um, he went to Cal U, which is a Division II school. Uh, Went to Canada and then got an opportunity in the NFL. He just signed with the Atlanta Falcons 2 weeks ago. If you're good, they will find you. If you're good, they will find you. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. And I'll say, if you go to an Alabama, if you go to a Florida, still good. If you go to a Clemson, you only need 1 year of production. If you go to some other schools, you're going to really have to be good. But I think we get enamored with, oh, Alabama's this juggernaut. So it's like, well, if they started at Alabama for 1 year, they got to be great. Man, jury's still out. Trey, yeah, Trey Lance is the guy I believe you were talking about who had that 1 year, and I know this week they talked about it, in which a lot of guys with 1 year experience often have issues when they come into the league because they are, think about it. You go from high school where windows are wide open, you go to college where windows get a little bit smaller, and then you go to the NFL where the length of my hand is considered open in the NFL. You got to try to fit into that little tiny window. But I think that has changed everything, is when I don't have enough film on you, but you're a raw athlete or you're a raw talent, and somebody is going to take a chance on you. Um, I'm trying to get Dante back in here. It's still not letting me, so we will continue on. Um, so the second topic we have for tonight, when just over the I think it was the last week, um, Kevin Durant said some things that I believed was a private conversation, in which he sent messages. I think he was a reporter, and apparently he's a controversial reporter. Um, but the reporter leaked the messages. So, Faye, what say you about that? The situation in general, and with him. Yep. Mm, man, I'm 100% on board. I can't defend it. You know, I got to be real across the board. And if Donald Sterling, in the midst of his suite or wherever he was, when he said what he said, and that girl filmed him, and then it came out, there was a huge uproar. Um, when stuff happens, um, as an African American that I don't agree with, I'm gonna say something, and then I'm gonna talk about when this happens.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be said no matter where. And I feel the same thing when when racism comes up.
Mm-hmm.
There's no place for that anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's in a private conversation. It doesn't matter if it's a public. Now, was he wrong for revealing that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what is private between you and another person needs to be private, and get out of this pettiness that comes where I'm mad, so I'm just going to reveal X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That's not fair because he sent it with the thought of privacy. Now, was he stupid for sending it? Herm Edwards always talks to kids or young kids, young men coming into the NFL about don't hit send. Don't hit that send button,
Yeah.
because when you hit that send button, you cannot take it back. And that's where the problem comes in, is like, listen, it's a free country. Just like there's racism and they can talk about it, Kevin Durant can say those things that he said, but that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be a backlash that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't go at one person for one thing and then let you get off with a pass. Now, am I frustrated? Would I would I have to question that individual because I feel like trust was broken? Because no matter what happens, you can be mad at, or whatever as a reporter, but I don't know if that should ever be, because now you're condemning the character of a person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard for me. And we talked about it before. We got on about the topic, and you just can't do it. You just can't do it. Um, I believe when you talk like that, those are your real feelings. Um, in your mind, most of us, we have a filter. There's usually two types of people that do not have filters. Well, mainstream two types: kids and elderly. They come off at the mouth, and who knows what's about to come out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't put it through their filter of how is this going to be perceived? How is this going to be perceived? And then you get the common people in life that just don't care what other people think, and they're just going to say what they feel regardless. And those are the ones that are scary in our society today, because there is no filter of thinking how you're getting ready to hurt somebody. It's nice to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
But words do. Words do. Using that type of language shows how you really feel towards a certain population. And that's where it hurts. So, Kevin Durant, you're wrong. You're wrong. And you're wrong again. Um, so, Fabe, what I wanted to kind of get into, is a little bit of, you and I back and forth. Mr. Dante's unable to get back in, um, but we've had a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So Ashley says, going back to our first topic, doesn't a good receiver need a QB that can throw the ball?
He does. A receiver does need a good QB to throw them the ball. But I also think a great receiver can make make a quarterback, and the first person that comes to mind is Megatron, Mr. Calvin
Yep.
Johnson. Like Matthew Stafford, I I think he, to me, if you put pieces around him, he would probably do really, really well. If you had, like, if the Lions actually put pieces around him. But you had such a great player in Megatron that probably literally will make anybody look good out there. Um, so I think receivers can be transcendent of quarterbacks, and then if you just have a transcendent quarterback, i.e., a Tom Brady, a all the greats and stuff like that, then I think that's where you can really, really win championships. I think that's where you have to get to is quarterbacks. If you have a transcendent quarterback, you can win championships in a lot of games.
Yep.
But if you have a transcendent receiver with a decent quarterback, you can put up high numbers and win a couple games, but it probably won't translate into championships.
Man, I couldn't agree more. So I'm gonna take it one step further with Calvin Johnson. He went to Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech was a
Oh
um,
yeah,
an option team who barely threw the
yeah,
ball.
yep,
Um, they would basically throw him go routes,
yep.
and again, there goes that raw freakish athlete. But here's where I will go for this, and when you are a skilled position player, it would be nice to have a great quarterback. But I think teams learn more from you when you do not have a great quarterback. Like there's a lot of top receivers that I mean I get excited. But think about the passes that Mac Jones was throwing. Think about the passes that Joe Burrow was throwing. They're putting it on the money. They're making it look easy. You're catching it in stride. It's in your catch radius. Whereas if you don't have a great quarterback, it's like I gotta work. I really get to show off my catch radius. And I'll say this for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is coming in as an amazing prospect tight end. Um, he hadn't had, I would say, great quarterback play, and I think he made his quarterback better.
Mm.
Um, so there's something to that. You look at a lot of running backs. A lot of running backs that go to these big schools, they're they're good. They're not great. Alvin Kamara, he didn't go to a big school. He's great. Um, Trying to think. I guess you can say Le'Veon Bell. He went to Michigan State. In the height of who he was, he didn't go to a big school. So when I look at it like that, it's like there's there's something to be said when you're not running behind Alabama's 6'4", 300-pound across the board, holes wide open. Now you can tell me Derrick Henry, and you would be 100% correct. And I have nothing to say against Derrick Henry, other than he's a monster. But 100%, um, I I think it can go both ways. I could see Mark Ingram's talent um, when he first came into the league, but I also would say D'Angelo Williams, when he was at Memphis, was an absolute monster and came in and tore up the league.
Mm.
Um, so for every guy that I think comes in from a big name, from one of those stabilized programs that has great players, you get about 10 others that come from other programs. I'm gonna challenge our listeners to do this when football comes back up. Listen when they do the lineups to where guys say that they came from. Now I know some talk about high school, but listen to the colleges of where they came from. While you'll find the Alabamas and some of those bigger schools, you're also going to see a lot of people from smaller schools, whether it's a smaller D1 or a Division One AA or even a Division Two. Um,
Or you could think about your $100 million man, Dak Prescott, from Mississippi State. He didn't do much, but didn't he beat Alabama one time, right? Isn't that kind of his only? I think they
I
beat
believe his
Alabama.
senior year. Yeah, I believe his last year. I think he beat them. Dak Prescott. You right. You right. You right. So we have another question here. And I don't know if you've heard, but Roy Williams retired from North Carolina as head coach. Um, so his question is your thoughts, if you have any, on the legacy of Roy Williams, and also how has college basketball changed with the one and done, and how it's affecting recruiting? If you don't mind, I'll jump in for the second
Yeah.
part. So Roy Williams, I grew up a UNC guy. It was just something about that powder blue that
Yeah.
just had me. I would say listening to him when he said why he was retiring, or the reasons why he would retire, and he basically alluded to not being able to feel like he wasn't reaching the kids. Um, I I get it. I understand, because in today's world, it's so different. With how you have to coddle kids, it's very hard to be, hard nosed on kids, and it's probably wearing and taxing. So basketball has changed with the one and done. No longer do we have the ability to, get to know a guy. Yeah, we got to know Zion, but we got to know him for a year. Um, when Jay Will, who's now on ESPN, had to go to school, he was there for 3 years. And then you come out and then voila, you know, but you got to grow with them. You got to see a team, you know, Michigan in the Fab Five. You got to see them lose, and it's not like, up, one and done, everybody's leaving, gotta start all over. It's like, nah, like we're all back and we're all trying to build something. So it has changed tremendously. And if you look at the NCAA tournament now, on the men's side, Gonzaga, veteran team, Baylor, veteran team, UCLA, they have some veteran pieces as far as they've played. I think they have a sprinkle of good coaching in there. But majority of the teams are veteran laden teams. They're teams who don't just have one and dones, and they have that foundation built around the team. It's good to have a one and done, but it's another thing when you got like 3, 4, 5 of them that you have to count on when they haven't even been able to practice much. Because think about it, they come in, they're only in school for a semester, maybe two, but at least a semester, and you're having these practices, but there's no games yet in the fall. And then when it gets game time, every loss counts. So where do you get to build in a real time thing? It's like, all right, listen, we failed. We made it to the NCAA tournament. We got knocked out, but 3 of us are coming back. So we all know how each other play. You have anything on either one of those questions? Your thoughts on Roy Williams, or do you feel as the one and done is done?
Um, so with the second part of that, I don't really have much. I don't have anything on the Roy Williams part, but on the one and done, I do, because I really feel like it's hurt the game. Like you alluded to, there's more veteran teams that make it deep into the championship games and stuff like that. Because more recently, I think of like Zion Williamson. Like you knew that he was going to be one and done, him and some of his other teammates, and it's like they were so good. It's like I would have liked to have seen him win a championship ring, but it's almost like they got there, they didn't do it. Sure, they wanted to win But it's like, did they probably ultimately care? No, because they went there with one mission in mind, and that was, I have to do my year, and then I'm going to the pros. And so, where I think it's changed is because how these big schools are still landing recruits. You know, if anybody doesn't know, like they said Zion's, what was it, his family, whoever took money.
Mhm.
So that came out when he was, which is funny because I ain't heard nothing. Like you heard all about that a little bit when he first came into the league, and now I ain't heard nothing about it now. But
Tight
yeah.
lip.
But I think, mind you, were they probably always paying players or paying their families and stuff? Sure. But I think it became even more rampant because now it is a race to get the best one and done players. I know you're going to be one and done, so why not come here for your one season? I can get you the most notoriety, I can get you this, and I can put a little money in your family's pockets. Because unfortunately, a lot of these kids are coming from not so good neighborhoods, not so good backgrounds with not much money. So that is a big motivation to get them to come to a big school. So I think the one and done has hurt it. I would, like you said, I would love to see guys come back and build a dynasty. Like, and then when you think about it, like for Zion Williamson or even some of these younger guys, because they are one and done, they are still kids, right? When they get to the NBA, I know Zion is a big dude, but he is still a kid. And so what, in his first season they were limiting his minutes and all of this stuff and trying to ease him in. But think about if you have players now playing 3 years, 4 years in college, them dudes are coming in more ready to go. Their bodies are a little bit more, defined and ready to go and stuff like that. So, because I think what Zion was, he had the knee in his first
Yep.
year.
Yep.
I think it was mainly the knee. I think it was a foot or something too, but I think it was mainly the knee was his issue.
Yeah, I can't remember if the foot was first or the knee was first, but it was one that happened in the over the summer games, and they were just trying to be cautious. So then, and then I think it was like the foot then after the knee. But yeah, you're right.
So
You are right.
like getting these dudes' bodies a little bit, ready for the NBA grind.
So here's my suggestion that if I can even make one, um, I wish that they would make a rule. If you're going to go to the NBA, you have the ability of going out of high school. If you choose to go, just how NCAA baseball is, you have to go for X number of years, and it needs to be more than 1 year. I think that would give college basketball a um, much better prospects. And
Mm-hmm.
then on the flip side, I think the NBA then will be better served because guys will come in there ready. But I think it's so much based off of potential talent than actual talent,
Mm.
which is why a lot of guys don't make it. Think about it. For the most part, guys out of the top three, maybe the top five, for the most part, don't do anything. They may become a role player, they may not.
Mm-hmm.
Where the NFL, you're getting guys sixth, seventh round, Richard Sherman, sixth round, Tom Brady, sixth round, Hall of Famer, both of them. That's what you're getting because you got to go for 3 years.
Yeah.
Your body is going to be more ready. Yes, you might be a fantastic talent, but here's the thing about talent. I would rather fully realize talent, and I would be the coach or I would be the GM that would want to take a 4 year guy that I can see that you grew.
Yeah.
Because okay, you go from high school, you come into college, okay, maybe you grew a little bit, but do you got that grown man NBA game?
Yeah. Which
That
very few will have. Like if you think about it, in the last so many years, okay, I could see a LeBron James. I could see a Kobe Bryant. Like those, but those are the greats that just their talent is unmatched. So I could have seen Zion coming straight out of high school.
Yep.
He's about the only
Yep.
one in the last since LeBron that I could say I could see him coming straight out of high school.
He had grown man game. Um, Again, I think there would have been some struggles,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he had grown man game. So Dante chimed in the chat and says he has no problems with the one and done.
Yeah, so to
Man,
get
would
their
I
money.
love to hear it. Um, it's it's funny. It's so I don't necessarily have a problem, with guys wanting to get their money. I just I'll go back to when I talked about football probably months ago. And the issue is everybody's so worried about this instant money. Like, think about the stock market. If I'm just worried about making my couple dollars today, I might miss some stuff like Apple. I might miss some stuff like Microsoft, and I wouldn't have gotten Microsoft because I'm like, oh, I would have to wait for Microsoft. But think about all the people that got into Microsoft when it first started. If you kept it in there, you'd be a billionaire. You know what I mean? Or, well, I should say at least a millionaire.
Yeah.
But it's that type of process. If I come into the NBA and I wait that extra year, yes, I got to worry about injury. Yes, I have to worry about some of these things. But at the end of the day, my first contract is going to be for, if you're a top pick, 7 million, something like that.
Yeah.
But if I come in ready, that second contract is going to kick in. And now I'm making that 20 million, that 25 million. But Jabari Parker, another one, came out, didn't do very much, boo boo, woo woo. Now he's a rotational player, barely making any money. A lot of guys washing out of the league because they're just not ready. And I bet if you ask them back at that time, or I'm sorry, now, if they would have rather gone back and built their game and then came to the NBA ready to take on some guys. Again, LeBron James, generational talent. Kevin Garnett, generational talent. Kobe Bryant, generational talent. But at the end of the day, those guys decided on their own that they were going to be great and did everything that it takes. Most kids, come on, Fade, we ain't got it.
Yeah.
Bruh, that's almost like when you go from high school to college and you go from my teacher's kind of spoon feed it to me to my teacher gave me this, and if I don't do it, he ain't sitting here checking on me like, hey, Jarrell, did you do your work? Did you do your work? No, he just gonna grade that paper
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna fail that class. So it's almost like that when you take those honors classes, when you take those AP classes, those are supposed to prepare you for college. So you're more ready than somebody who hasn't. But that doesn't mean that some people can't be successful. Everybody ain't gonna be LeBron James. Period.
True that.
Period. All right, man. Let me. So Dante mentioned about the athlete, what happens if they get hurt. And I kind of alluded to that. And then Dante said, get the money or pay the athlete, talking about college. That, sir, is a conversation for another day. Anything you got to wrap it up?
Nah, man, I got nothing else.
All right, man. Well, like always, we appreciate it. We apologize for the technical difficulties. We're missing our man DP, but either way, we appreciate you guys watching. Whether you catch it live or catch it on the flip side, we'll holla at you next week. All right. We'll see y'all. Peace.